Well, I agree with Haiku. This event, this women speaking event today was historic because the trans never showed up and the women spoke, and they will come back. The police, interestingly, are now being essentially supportive of this free speech. I don't know how long this will last, but remember, the first of my 16 now arrests in the movement was at the hands of the police right here in order to prevent free speech. That's what it was about. Remember, we had to assemble in groups of, I don't know, two I think at the time. Anyway, I've been arrested for assembling in groups of more than 2 and more than 6 and more than 15 and I don't know how many others, but the struggle goes on. Now it's interesting, will the police stay on our side or not? I don't think so, but right now we ought to make use of it. And importantly, next week the women are going to come back with a bigger event with some more international speakers, and it will be at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. So we'll have to be here at 1 o'clock. We bought some numbers here to defend them against the trans. We've got to do it next week. But please, Sunday, 1 o'clock. I know that's early for you guys, but look, 1 o'clock Sunday. Now, the most important things I learned from that event over there was, and what Haiku said, that women speaking out in crucial moments in revolutionary or major struggles often is decisive. And in Britain, remember, in the miners' strike, it was when the women's, the women's wives of miners' strikers, or whatever they call themselves, when women against pit closures, right, when they started up, that had a tremendous impact around the country and generated even more support than they had. And the miners' strike was on the brink of winning. And without the women, it would have been defeated earlier. And again, I think in the movement, people notice that women are more active than men. They are. And maybe they'll carry on. But again, it's an example of the importance of women, which we men often underrate. And the points I wanted to get forward about, which arose partly from over there, and I repeat here, it's about what is happening in higher education. These modern universities are now awarding degrees in stupidity. That is what it is. They have taken away critical thinking in universities in order to impose fake science and fake social science, fake assessments. And the woman who spoke mentioned that her data, which is social science stuff, had essentially been confiscated because it came out with some truth. And again, on the climate issue, they cannot allow debate, because if they allow debate and evidence-based science, it will defeat them completely. And a graph I want to show on that, and we'll come back to higher education in a minute, is this graph here of carbon dioxide levels, and they've been increasing continually since 1960. And the blue dots on there are when they've had a big conference and introduced more measures to control man-made carbon dioxide. And you see, it's made no difference whatsoever. Their schemes to control CO2 are having no effect, and furthermore, just like all the COVID con, it is a complete lie in order to impose tyranny. So back in higher education, we've got to fight more and more for actual academic freedom and free speech, and there will be more struggles going on there. And I repeat, in Nazi Germany and in Stalinist Russia, they had to destroy free speech in order to impose fake science. The fake science of the Aryan race, being the master race, and in Russia it was the theory of well, they're all done under health acts, all that sort of thing. And in Russia, it was the Lysenko theory of inheritance of acquired characteristics. But all these things were there to justify tyrannical ideas and also a cover to control the population as well. And we are in the same situation now. The latest thing they've said now on climate is that this is the warmest for 125,000 years. Now look, that is a complete lie. It's the warmest possibly for 70 years or 80 years. But it's already getting cooler since 2003. It was much warmer in the 30s. Pardon?
The warmest what? The warmest year?
Well, I don't know. It just said the headline was warmest. But, all right, if you want to look at years or decades, we're now cooling, but 2003 was in real data probably the warmest since the 1930s. And the 1930s are warmer. And we know that from the data in America of days when it exceeded 100 degrees Fahrenheit. They've been changing data all the time, adjusting past data, as is shown on that graph there, but you can't see it behind the table, unfortunately. But they're making it colder in the past, the new data, and warmer in the present. So they're lying. But the recorded data of 100 degrees F being exceeded cannot be wiped away. So they're in a problem. But they're going to carry on lying and lying on the data. It's certainly it was warmer in 1930s, right, in the world. And we know, though, statistically, this has actually been the coldest last 700 years of the last 10,000 years. So it's much warmer in the medieval warm period. It was much warmer in many previous warm periods. In the last 10,000 years, there have been 1,000 sub-peaks in temperature. And I have a graph of those here. And here they are. Here is the modern warming. It's about there. The medieval warm period is here. The Roman warm period is there. The Minoan warm period is here. All these 10 other peaks are warmer than the recent peak. This interglacial period of 10,000 years since the last ice age is now in its cooling phase. In 2,000 years' time, the ice ages will be back and the Russians will come because they won't have anywhere to live. And the Scots will come as well because Scotland will be ice covered. The last ice age was ice covered in Britain to about the M4. Below the M4, south of the M4, stayed as ground, which could be farmed. Okay, so the man-made climate change lie is the core theory to justify carbon credits, all the data controls, all this zoning stuff, again to save the planet. But the real reason, as a number of people said, is to bring in monitoring and control and surveillance. And the 5G cameras are about that, or not 5G towers are about that as well. So, I won't go on much longer, but I want to say, key thing I got from that event was the phrase, gender pretender agenda.
Yes!
We're against the gender pretender agenda. So how can we say, kill the gender pretender agenda? Stop it. Break it. Break it. Break the gender pretender agenda. Break the gender agenda pretender. Break the gender pretender agenda. And long live elocution. Okay. The way forward in the coming years, weeks and months is going to be more and more building a united front. We now have, women on the move. I mean, they're representing the beginning. We've got a lot of working class sectors on the move, but they've been betrayed by the labour movement. They've been held back by this nonsense. And we're putting forward a united front, key principles, not just me, but with others, on key issues. I'm repeating this before, but we say it again, and we'll publish this soon. But it starts off with well, it could start off with men are men, women are women. And straight away, the Labour and Tory and Lib Dems are just out of it. Roads are for driving. Well, interesting idea, isn't it? And walking. But roads are for moving, as opposed to putting plant boxes on them or narrowing them in order to prevent all junctions
Don't you
functioning
believe in
properly.
beautiful nature and flowers? And
Well, I do, but on flower beds, not on roads. Coming events I'm going to repeat. Next Sunday, 1 o'clock here, important. Be here in numbers. Then, after Easter, the first Saturday after Easter, the 15th of April, is the next big ULEZ demo, anti-ULEZ demo. It was going to be the 29th, but for various reasons, it's brought forward. So, Saturday, the 15th of April, massive anti-zoning rally in the south side of Trafalgar Square. We've got to stay there, be there, get contact to the traffic and have a little march somewhere. But it's going to be another big one. And around London, we've got now action on all the town halls. Now, anyone here who wants to take part, please get in touch with me. We've got to have action groups in every borough to go to every town hall to break them in their impositions of zoning. We've got fantastic things going on in Romford, Havering that is, and Ealing, and Colchester, that's outside London, and Plymouth. There's loads going on, but we've got to do it in every borough. And in London, there's 32 boroughs, people get in touch. Anybody from other parts of the country, get in touch. If there's not a group there, we will build a group to fight all the zoning everywhere, and we will win. My current debt, so-called, to the ultra-low emission zone charges is now £45,000, and I'm not going to pay a penny, and I'd rather go to prison than give any money to that corrupt thief Sadiq Khan.
go busy!
I will.
With that money, then we could have made more beautiful plants, more lovely things.
Yeah, it's controlled opposition this time. Don't worry. I'll end with what we began. Resist! Defy! Do not comply! Resist! Defy! Do not comply! Resist! Defy! Do not comply! Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'll make it. It's all right, you don't mind, do you? Go ahead.
No, yeah, wow, it's a bit high up, isn't it? Whoa. Well, yes.
Take a step down. You can hold on to this one. Yeah, you're tall enough, Piers.
No, that's all right. Yes,
You can cope with the heights.
I can cope with heights.
And it's a note from...
Yes, Martin's raised important points about the media. Very interesting that Piers Morgan has now done a U-turn, but he hasn't invited me on the programme to apologise. Why not? Because they learned that when they had me on the first time, it was a bad idea. And they've never had me on since. ITV, BBC, Sky News, none of them. I am completely blocked out, even though they're now doing U-turns coming over to my point of view. Because if our point of view was put out about the whole of the lockdown agenda, the whole of the World Economic Forum, there would be such uproar that the WEF would be defeated. So they won't have us. But I would urge you people, phone up the media and say to Piers Morgan or his aides, bring back Piers Corbyn. You've got to have him back. Write a reply. Well, okay. Say that when I was down as mayor. Bring back Piers Corbyn. No, you can say it later. The British media have learned that giving us exposure means we gain. The Indian media, however, don't understand that. Now, you won't believe this, but they've had a whole half-hour programme on the mainstream in India attacking me for my involvement in supporting the Sikh resistance here. A half-hour programme. They denounced me as a vax denier, as a climate denier. All these things are true.
Right, yes.
And there's millions of people in India that will see this. My God! we like him. That's what they're going to say. And they also denounce me as a businessman.
Yes.
But most Indians are obsessed with being business people. So, I mean, what are they doing? Really, they've made a big mistake. It'd be nice to even be there as a right of reply. You know. But anyway, that's what's happening. But the point about this is, of course, that the Punjab issue, the Sikh issue, is so important. The Indian government have launched an offensive, an attack of killing, of maiming in the Punjab because they want to hold down the Sikhs. They have bitten off more than they can chew. No one in the history of the world has ever defeated the Sikhs. So it could be that this is the decisive end of the Modi regime and the Indian superstate. If the Indian superstate is brought down, that will be the beginning of the end of the new world order. So please, support the Indians, the Indian independence movement or for the Punjab. In fact, we should chant that. Free the Punjab! Free the Punjab! Free the Punjab! Now, and if you want it in their terms, victory to Khalistan! Victory to Khalistan! Victory to Khalistan! That being the word they use. Around the world, there are other very important struggles going on, and we in Britain are hopefully going to follow suit. We know what's happening in France, in Israel, in Germany, masses of strikes going on, in Holland, and in Germany. This is fantastic news. The Berliners, and they're not all jam cakes, by the way, they're not all donuts. The Berliners have voted by 80% to oppose the 2030 carbon-free agenda. The zero carbon agenda is now smashed in Berlin, which means it will be smashed in Germany. This is the beginning of the end of the CO2 lie around Europe and the world. Fantastic news.
You just said about we know what's going on and we're going to do something. Is it not true that the same thing that's going on with the Dutch farmers has already happened over here and in Ireland?
Not exactly, but you're right. He's asking about the Dutch farmers and Irish farmers. In Holland, the idea that farting from cows, nitrous oxide, etc., is a dangerous greenhouse gas, and therefore you've got to destroy farming. That's what they're doing, and there's massive revolt among all the farmers of the population against that. Is there any truth in it? No, it's not. The greenhouse theory is fake science, CO2, nitrous oxide, or anything. In Britain, they are eroding farms in a slower way. They haven't brought this argument forward, but they are destroying farmland as rewilding, and the farms have been slowly taken over as individual farms, and I know this from my weather business, and they're now in bigger groups. There's big farm management operations and so on. More top-down control, and we have to defend the small farmer, middle farmer, whatever, but defend these family farms against the tyranny of big industrial complexes. And on this issue, I would say the Labour Party has completely lost its way, and the Labour left as well, because they confuse big operations, big state spending with socialism. No, that's a nonsense. The big state spending is the work towards tyranny, towards Stalinism, towards fascism. And big farming is the same type of thing. We ought to support the small and medium farmers and small and medium businesses. And in the future, we've got to think of ways of destroying mega corporations, because those are the enemy of the people. In my opinion, all the mega corporations in the world should be disbanded and made into smaller units, and it'd be illegal for cartel agreements to happen in order to control prices. Because what is a mega corporation other than just a cartel, a collection of them all together? So I'm about to end, and I have a question here. Yes, citizen.
Oh yeah, just I heard that the EU have decided to stop their cut-off point of 2035 for manufacturing all all-fuel cars. You heard about that?
No, I haven't. But there is a struggle going on in the auto industry where there's limitations being imposed on the manufacturers of producing petrol cars.
Yes.
And people are being forced to buy electric cars. Electric cars are for the stupid, for the brain dead, for the pretenders, the gender pretenders or whatever. They are so stupid and wasteful. They produce more CO2 per mile and they cost a lot more and they can't drive so far anyway. They are really, really stupid. In the end, electric vehicles will be destroyed and we'll be back to petrol and diesel. And if you want to get things clean, the answer is more catalytic converters. The so-called pollution issue is being used by Sadiq Khan to control you. And the big issue in Britain will be the ULEZ fight and all the zoning fight. So please, join in, get something going in your borough, I repeat. Get in touch with me afterwards if you want more information.
Yeah, what about this? They're saying your brother's going to start a new party. Do you reckon he can? Do you reckon he's possible?
Well, I think he should stand as an independent in Islington North, which would require him to, he could just stand as independent or name a new party. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But that's what he should do.
Start a party? Can he get all his old...
Well, he could start a party, but you see, if Jeremy and the Labour left start a new party, where's it going? What is it pointing at? Because the Labour left support the same agenda as Keir Starmer. Exactly. They'll be just saying, we want to do the same, but we want nice people in charge. And that's us. No, that is bollocks. The Labour left is doomed. Absolutely, completely, totally doomed. Absolutely. My brother, in his upstanding defence of workers' rights, stands alone. But he's also confused on the world agenda. Completely confused. He should stand as an independent or an independent Labour, whatever he can name himself in Islington North, and he will win. That would be a massive blow to Starmer. To try and think bigger than that on an agenda they cannot have won't work. He should stand and build on his own base. And, you know, I've supported him longer than anyone in the world has supported him. But right now, I don't agree with his confused message on the World Economic Forum. In fact, he supports their agenda, mostly, which is bollocks. We can say that now.
Isn't it hard when there's an independent though, because the system's designed for the mainstream parties as opposed to the individuals and the smaller?
The system is designed for mainstream parties, absolutely. And when I stand as mayor, I'm going to demand that the counts be done on paper, all the ballot be done on paper. Whether I've got the power to do that, I don't know. But the artificial intelligence manipulation of the actual votes after cast, I'm sure that exists. And we have to destroy that. We want democracy in this country. Have we ever had democracy in this country? Well, probably not in the way we need it. When you say take democracy back, does it mean take democracy back to the time when you have the rotten boroughs and the 10 people electing a member of parliament, whatever, you know. There's a lot of things wrong. We don't want to just go back. We want something new. We want an accountable democracy, whereby if, say, 10% of the population in some area decide they want a new election because they don't trust the guy they elected or woman they elected, well, then do it. But we don't have those rights now. That's why these people get elected and say one thing and they lie for 4 years, and well, the rest is history. But yeah, there's discrimination against independent candidates. Absolutely true. But my brother has a massive personal following. He's got a majority of 26,000, which is bigger than a lot of actual votes for members of parliament anyway. So he could do it. There's not many people who could do it.
So they live close enough to him, and this is another way that we're sort of divided and conquered.
Well, you could go and help give out leaflets.
No, but I can't vote for him in this system.
You could move to Islington North.
Yeah, exactly. But that's
house
not
prices have gone up. You could squat in Islington
I live
North.
a few miles
Squat in
away,
Islington North
and I'm not
and
allowed to
register your vote. Now that'll come after the mainstream media. Piers Corbyn has said squat in Islington North to get extra votes for his buck. Look, he doesn't need people to squat there to get extra votes, right? Just get that clear. He's got them there, but he's got to stand firmly. And frankly, he should come round to our point of view, because otherwise, what is the Labour Party they're going to say? Well, Jeremy, you agree with us on this, this and this. Why don't you support our Labour candidate? some lickspit or scum will be put up there against him, of course, you know. But they won't tell you his lickspit or scum. I think I better end there, people. But look, thank you for listening. And I repeat those things. 15th of April, massive protest, Parliament Square, Trafalgar Square, and next week, 1 o'clock over there, big numbers, please. Resist, defy, do not comply. Resist, defy, do not comply. Resist, defy, do not comply. Freedom!
Yay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.